Do you want to get highly paid as a speaker, even if you have no credentials, no connections, and you're not even a great speaker yet? Then don't miss this episode. I've got the world's leading authority on speaking and the number one speaking coach and trainer joining me to reveal the exact strategies that have helped thousands turn their stories into 6 and 7 figure businesses. I'm Devin Herz. Welcome to the DMC Marketing Nugget.
Now welcome your host with the Daily Nugget Dose, Devin Herz.
Today, I am thrilled to reconnect with someone I had the great pleasure of meeting during our GKIC days with Dan Kennedy and Bill Glazer, some of those other guys like Russell Brunson you may have heard of. He's a renowned speaker, entrepreneur, and the founder of Big Money Speaker. You might have also seen this guy on the ABC's Secret Millionaire. Let's dive into some marketing nuggets with James Malinchak. James, awesome to have you here, man.
Devin, my man, good to connect with you again after all these years. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, our roots run deep, definitely in the same circles. We've all had our own amazing successes, and it's so cool to reconnect with you. I've been following you online, LinkedIn, Instagram, just the amazing things that you're doing for the different foundations, working with some of the major marketers out there. So we want to dig right in and get to the good stuff here. Before we do, I'd love to give our listeners a little bit of a background on how you got started in this line of work.
Yeah, well, so first of all, seriously, thanks for having me. You're giving me and your listeners one of the most important things I think we have in life, which is time. And I know that because my sister Vicky died years ago of a brain tumor, and I understand that because she has no more time. So I just like to say that in the beginning to thank you and all your listeners and anybody watching, because I promise we're going to fill it with great information that will help you and not waste the time, but hopefully improve your life because of spending the time with us. So, but my story is kind of unique. I didn't wake up one day and say, I want to be a speaker. I didn't know the speaking industry existed. I didn't know marketing, direct marketing, any of this stuff existed. I grew up in a very tiny steel mill town outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, population of about 6,000 great folks. We didn't have much growing up. Dad worked in the steel mill. He was a railroad conductor, hauling scrap and coal. Mom was a lunch mother, serving lunches to us kids at school. So it wasn't like I came from anything. I didn't know about business or anything like that. But I did have a big dream growing up. And my first big dream was to play college basketball. So I accepted a basketball scholarship. I was pretty good at basketball to the University of Cincinnati out of high school. And then my coach had gotten relieved of his duty. That's a nice way of saying he got fired. So I transferred and played in Hawaii. And the very first exhibition game, I ripped my knee in half
Oh, shit.
on a pass I caught and twisted. So that ended my aspirations of playing professional basketball. But I always had a plan B. And my plan B was to get into the financial world, to be a financial advisor. And so after college, long story short, moved to Los Angeles. Didn't know anybody there, but had some friends that were pro athletes at the time. So sort of had some connections with people who had money. And I got hired by a firm, a Wall Street investment firm, and won some awards there my very first year because they didn't know I knew people playing professional sports and I could get them to trust me with their money. And so I got flown by my company back to New York to train in the World Trade Centers to new hirees that were coming in. And it was just a free trip to New York for me, right? And I was like, yeah, I'll tell them what I did. And there were like 20 of us that got flown back. We just told them how we built our business. And so when I get back to California, I get in my office, my phone rings, and it's a guy. And he said, hey, my son was in this training that you just taught at in New York. And he said, I should have you come and speak to my sales reps here in Southern California. And I said, well, sir, thank you, but I don't speak. I'm a broker. Like I'm a stockbroker.
Right.
Like I don't speak. He said, just come and like talk for 40 minutes and tell them your story. And I said, I don't speak. And he said, and I'll pay you $5,000. I said, I speak.
Speaking now.
I speak.
That's great.
And Devin, that was my first entry into, I didn't even know what I was doing. I just went and did like the same thing. I told him, hey, here's how I built my business in my young 20s so fast. And here's my story. And, you know, coming from a steel mill town. And here's what I did. And honestly, I thought on a scale of 1 to 10, I was like a -5 when you think of speakers, right?
Right.
But this guy changed my life because he said, that was great. I was like, what were you watching? Like, what? Like, I don't know how to talk and speak. He said, I don't care about any of that stuff. He said, the information that you shared
Okay.
and your story lit a fire under my people. And that's what I care most about. I have 2 more divisions. Would you come and speak for them and tell that same stuff? And is it okay if I pay you $5,000 for each of those as well?
All right.
And that's how I got into speaking. I had no idea that any of this even existed, that like people like you or myself get asked to come and talk to groups and share information. I didn't know any of this stuff. I still didn't know. So I did these 3 talks and I'm like, hey, cool. Guy paid me money to come and talk. I didn't know there was this world,
Right.
right? But I've had a lifelong friend. His name is Joe Theismann. He used to quarterback the Washington Redskins.
May have heard of that guy a little bit.
Yeah. NFL most valuable player, Super Bowl champion quarterback.
Awesome.
And Joe was speaking in Palm Springs about 6 or 8 months after I did this. And I went to see him speak. And I asked a really dumb question. I said, hey, Joe, did they pay you to be out here? And he said, yeah. And I was like, well, would they pay you? Like $50 or something? Like what? Like he's like, no, I got $10,000. He did a 30-minute talk. I got $10,000. This was 1998.
Okay.
I said, really? Like, is this just a once in a while you do? He said, no, I did about 120 of these a year. And I was like, what? And Joe started to explain the speaking world to me and how big it was. And when I understood it from a conceptual business point of view, that there are organizations that have people and they want somebody to come and teach them or inspire them and will pay you for that. And it's worth billions of dollars a year. I said, I'm going to do that. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to figure this out. And that's how I literally got into speaking. And by the way, and that was fee-paid speaking. I did thousands of fee-paid talks before I ever started teaching people how to do what I was doing.
Right.
Okay, so like when you and I met back in the DMC marketing days, I was sitting there thinking, what is this world? This is scammy. Like, what is this? Like selling stuff? And like, I didn't know any of that. It was all
run to the back of the stage. Yeah, go.
Yeah. I had not, because I came from a whole different concept of speaking. Right. And so that's literally how I got into speaking. And then how I got into teaching speaking was learning from Bill and Dan about you could actually be the person that helps, serves, supports, coaches, teaches other people, and they'll pay you for it. And that's how I learned about seminars and, then speaking from the stage and selling and all. But I didn't know any of that part. I just came into it as a fee-paid speaker. I show up, they give me a check to talk. That's all I knew.
Well, absolutely insane. And that's what resonates with me when I saw you talk and how great you were. And then you were training people. But it blows my mind that one training changed your life, really, because you didn't even know you were a speaker and now we're here. So, and you've taken that and you transitioned from being a highly paid speaker now to leveraging speaking engagements as powerful sales platforms. I'd love you to share some of that approach and the transformation, really the strategies behind being able to talk from stage, sell from stage, and use that as part of your business plan.
Yeah. First of all, I have to say, sometimes God puts you on a path and you don't realize it's a really good path for you. And if your eyes and ears aren't open, you miss the message.
Yes, sir.
Right. And so I look back now and I say, oh my God, what a great blessing in my life that I was able to see this whole speaking thing. Right. And what I realized now looking back after all these years, now I've done over 3,000 some talks. I have coached and trained some of the biggest people, celebrities, pro athletes, sports coaches, in the industry, in the world. Very blessed for that. I don't say that to brag, but just to kind of frame up what I'm about to say is I truly believe speaking is the world's greatest profession. And you don't have to speak to get a fee. It's the greatest lead, and you know this, it's the greatest lead acquisition model out there.
Absolutely.
Because you can run Facebook ads, which we do. You can run TikTok ads, which we do, Instagram ads, Facebook ads. But The minute you can do direct mail, which I'm a big proponent of. I was mailing 50,000 mail pieces every seminar to fill up my seminar.
Insane.
And I still mail. I'm still a big direct mail guy.
Love it.
All right. Yeah, I love direct mail. But the thing about speaking is when you turn and face a group of people, it could be 3 people in your community, all of a sudden there's a switch that goes off. And all these things start registering for the people that you turn to face. Authority, expert, trust them, knows something, right? And I've never met another mechanism where you can walk into something completely cold, a room, do a talk for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and have people literally want to do business with you.
Yep.
I mean, and it's because of those triggers of trust, expert, authority, knows something because he or she is the person talking to us. I tell people all the time, it's the strangest thing in the world. The minute you turn and face people and now you're delivering information, all of a sudden you're elevated like that, right? And I don't know any, and I've done them all, direct mail, I'm a big direct mail guy, all the ads, social media wise. I don't know anything that builds trust, authority, and converts faster than turning around and speaking to people. And I don't want anybody listening to get scared about like, oh, you got to be a professional orator. No, I'm just talking about just sharing what you know, and we all know stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, it could even be at a small chamber of commerce event. It doesn't matter. When you're up there
1000%.
speaking, you are the authority. And I love that because it does change things, especially in a day and age now that we're getting so much with the online world, the AI, the realness of you being there, people able to see you in a physical way, you being able to talk, shake hands with people, it is just super, super powerful. I kind of been a little lazy on that, seeing on the speaking. You get kind of comfortable at your desk, but I did get to speak about a year and a half ago on stage with Magic, right before Magic Johnson came on, Austin Eckler. And it changed even my view of speaking on stage because it's been a while since I've done it. But as soon as I walked off, you got people coming up to you, talking about their business, telling you their life story, and you're creating those relationships. So I love that. I'm a big branding guy. We got our creative agency here. We develop brands, online presence, offline presence. But to me, and from what I know from you, is branding is more than just a logo, and it's really a growth engine. So how would you go about advising businesses to build a brand that not only looks good, but also drives revenue and long-term success, and how that speaking kind of plays into that?
Yeah, and so I have had everybody from plumbers to A-list Hollywood actors, and I make them that I've advised, and I make them all speak. Now, I'm not saying you even have to speak, but we have to position you as somebody, as one of the things that you do is speaking. I literally have people who don't speak, but if you look at their like plumber website, a speaking page is up there, right? Because of the authority and the connection and the trust that it builds. Even though a lot of them, like let's say a plumber, electrician, general contractor, they don't really go out that much in the local community, but the positioning for the brand is so powerful. So that's how I take speaking, and chiropractors, massage therapists, right? So I would like for them to go out and speak because I know they'll get, and I teach them how to go to the local chambers, local different businesses, local business groups, and how to speak to get leads. But even if they don't want to do it, I still use speaking as a positioning tool for their brand.
Okay.
Right? Same way that a book. Right? I mean, now with books, it's so easy with even ChatGPT, but I say, look, we want to use this as a long-term play to make you look like the expert. If I'm looking at 2 plumbers and one plumber has a book, or one plumber speaks on, plumbing, the 10 things you need to know before you ever hire a plumber, I'm immediately thinking, well, this guy's got to be better than this guy because he talks on it. Or this lady's got to be better than this one because she's got a book on it, and these don't. So when I'm talking about like long-term branding plays and I try to deduce it down to a plumber example, right? That if I make plumbers do that, and electricians and roofers, the reason is because it's a long-term look at your branding. Right. It's a position. The way I look at branding is more positioning than anything else, right? How do we position yourself to convey trust, How do we position yourself to convey that you're different than competitors?
Sure.
And how do we position yourself to show that you're not going anywhere, that you have been here and you're going to be here, right? Because that's, to me, that's all part of branding. So like you said, way more than like, the glamour shots you take at the mall, at the photo shop, right? Like, and the colors you have. That's what most people think of when they think of branding. And I don't. I think of trust. I think of longevity, the look of longevity, and I think of uniqueness and positioning when it comes to branding and creating you. And if you can do it with a plumber, anybody can do it.
Yeah, I absolutely love that because you have so many people that come in, oh, there's got to be a silver bullet, right? It takes all that, man. I mean, having, we used to create the shook, we still do, the shooks, the short books, building the
Yeah, I love
authority.
it.
We had a roofer that we did that for, and we called it Nailed It. And, you got the roofing thing, but you're seeing that on a website versus a competition that doesn't have anything like that. They're immediately becoming an authority. They authored that book. And then you're talking about content from a speaking engagement that changes the game too because it doesn't just live for that moment. As long as you're recording it and have video of that, that's something that can last years. I mean, they can go back 5 years from now, 10 years from now, see me talking, shaking hands with Magic
Yeah.
Johnson. That's an authority play right there that it never dies. It's just something that is solid to have. So I absolutely love the multiple ways to build authority. Speaking one of those, the books, the authoring, staying out there consistently with your message. It just differentiates you from the competition. And that is all about branding.
The other 1,000%. And the other thing too is it's amazing. Like again, I'll use the plumber example.
Mhm.
Like one of my guys that I did as a plumber, where we did the speaking page, we did the book. It's amazing how then we could get him, how easy it was to get him on local radio stations. Remember, this is a plumber in a community, right?
Right.
So it's not like he wants to be known worldwide or needs to be. He's not going to do plumbing jobs in Alaska when he's in Henderson, Nevada, right? So, but amazing because of the positioning, how easy it is to get him on all the local radio shows and
Mhm.
have him do a column in the local newspapers for online and offline and the local business journals and to have stories written about him because when these editors or these hosts of the shows or even like local access television on the ABC, NBC, CBS or Fox network, when they look at his site now and they see that wow, this guy's been around. I mean, one of the simple slogans, most trusted plumber in Las Vegas since 2002. It's a slogan I created,
Okay.
right? But what are we trying to do? Longevity for your brain.
100%.
We're going to be here. We're not going away. We're not disappearing. We're trusted. And then they see the speaker page and then they see the book. It's like, well, this guy's an authority. Yeah, let's have him come on and talk about what's happening in the real estate market with plumbing issues, right? So now, boom, all of a sudden, the authority just grows, the brand just grows.
I love that. I've also seen it lead to where they don't want to be in the business as much. And all of a sudden now they're consulting other plumbers because they're the
Other
authority
plumbers.
and they're getting paid
Yeah.
$5,000 for a day of consulting. So, starting it now, again, it may not be a quick hit, but it is that repetition of seeing the authority that really builds that trust with your marketplace and your local area and beyond. So,
And
uh,
one other byproduct of a benefit that most people don't think about, it's amazing how now these folks, again, plumber, electrician, I've done it with, physical therapist,
mhm.
chiropractor, whatever. It's amazing how now they start getting better applicants
True.
applying to work for them.
Yeah.
Because even the people who want to be employees, when they start looking in that profession of who they're going to apply, to be a plumber with, they see this guy everywhere and they heard him on the radio and they saw the story about him in the paper. And wow, I'd like to work for that guy because this is the thing, he must be the best one here. So that's what I look at when I say brand, that's what I see.
I think that's amazing because it does not only the external marketing but the internal marketing, which we talk about a lot, what goes on the four walls, so that credibility and authority of getting better quality, people applying for jobs is insane too. So that definitely does change the game there. We know about storytelling, right? We've been hearing about storytelling for a handful of years, kind of been a hot topic, and you know, I think people struggle, and sometimes myself too, is how to build that trust and emotional connection with storytelling, and how do you frame this? Of course, you've been talking for years now, been on so many different stages. For someone that is a plumber, someone that is a chiropractor, what's the best way to really connect with our audience through that storytelling method?
That's a great question, and I'm so glad you asked because you saw it here today. I've been teaching forever. Your story is just three things. It's before, or the mess. It's a turning point, and it's the after, or the success. It's the old infomercial technique, right?
Yeah.
So you always see people testimonials for all the infomercials, right? Look at the Tony Robbins infomercial. They're running since 88, I think, right? You always see a guy, I was lying on the couch eating ho-hos and Cheetos. I was 100 pounds overweight, right? There's the before. I didn't feel good, right? I was very low energy, right? I never went outside because I was embarrassed, right? There's the before, there's the mess, right? Then what does he say, right? So I turn the television on and I see this guy with big teeth come on and say, you have power, right? And he's selling these tapes. And so I buy the tapes and I listen to the tapes. There's the turning point.
Yeah.
Right. And then what's the after? I ran 9 marathons yesterday and I dropped 100 pounds and my business is through the roof, 200%. And there's the after. Right. So if we just go back to my simple little introduction here, grew up in a very small steel mill town, right? 6,000 people. Mom was a lunch mother, dad, right? There's my before, right? And then my turning point was when the guy called me and asked me if I would come and speak. Right. And then what's the after? Well, I've done 3,000 some talks and everything you said in the intro. So a story is nothing more than before, turning point, and after. By the way, I give you a little ninja secret. If I could just like go off in a different direction for a second.
Bring it.
You want to sell a lot of product from the stage if you're doing speaking and offering, right? So you're not being paid to speak, but you're going to sell something. I like to call it speak and offer because I think people get the wrong spirit taking the stage when you hear speak and sell.
Right.
So I coined this thing years ago, speak and offer, because we should speak to help the audience, right? Help people. And then we make an offer to where they can be better and continue on with you if they resonated with you, rather than I'm here to sell people. Perfect. Right? I just think it's a different spirit. But watch this. Your story, your before, your mess, your turning point, and your after. The turning point, if it's with integrity, should be whatever you're going to offer later on at the end. So let's pretend you're going to offer a consulting package. Well, the turning point for you should have been when you started hiring consultants.
Got it. Love that.
If you're going to sell a book, the turning point should be when you started to really read books.
Love that.
So if it's true and with integrity, then that should be your turning point, because now the audience already knows what turned it around for you. And the subconscious mind is now going, boy, I'd like to turn it around. Maybe I should start hiring a consultant.
I want to be like that, right?
Yeah, bam, there you go. And then at the end,
little ninja nugget right there. I like that. No, but I think that's the framing, right? I mean, so many people have trouble even getting on camera. Yeah, that's where I learned to start being better. If I know my beginning, my middle, and end, it just helps you frame that conversation, keeps it concise, because we're talkers. We end up talking a million different directions. So having that framework is so crucial to talking on camera for your Instagram reels, for TikToks, as well as getting up on stage and getting people to relate to you. Back to branding again, it's also about the customer journey. So what have you seen with working with all these businesses, major players in the marketing world? Are you seeing any commonalities or anything there that have really enhanced the customer journey? Because obviously that's important, because those customers become your salespeople. They're the ones out there raving about you. So what's been new? What have you seen that you really picked up on the client journey side of things?
Yeah, so I don't know if this is really new. It's just something I've always focused on, even before I got into this whole speaking business. Was the first thing when I was a stockbroker, and I used to, by the way, just to put it in a frame, if you will, I was on Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills, California, and I managed the investments of entertainers and professional athletes. I was at 131 Rodeo Drive, Beverly Hills, corner of Rodeo Drive and Wilshire Boulevard. Yep. I used to eat lunch almost every day in the Regent Beverly Wilshire, where they filmed the movie Pretty Woman, just for your listeners to put it in context. And I used to have this motto back then. And I always thought this way. And to this day, I think this way. I'm not looking for a transaction. I'm looking for a transformation so I can create a long-term relationship. Okay. So I would get these athletes who played in the NBA. A lot of the reason was because I could relate to them because I was a basketball player and I ripped my knee up. And so the transformation that I used to pitch them on, if you will, if you use the word pitch, was that, hey, I ripped my knee up and I could never play ball again. What happens with you if you don't have a guaranteed contract and you rip your knee up? Well, I'm going to make sure you never have to push pencils for $24,000 a year the rest of your life, right? Because we're going to set you up. That's going to be the transformation that's going to happen for you, right? And you're never going to have to work again the rest of your life. God forbid you have a situation with an injury or that you get cut. Nobody else wants to pick you up. Yeah. Right. And so, see, I was about a transformation for them, right? I'm not here to try to pitch them on some stock. Right. Like nobody cares. Like the stocks, the REITs, the life insurance policy, all that. Those are just the vehicles to give them the transformation. So I teach that to all of my coaching. I have 150 consulting and coaching clients right now. I have for the last 5 years. And I teach them all the same thing. Matter of fact, next week, they'll all be with me in Las Vegas for a mastermind. And I always tell them, I said, what's the transformation you're giving to people so that you create a long-term relationship? Because if you come into this as a transaction-focused business person, you're going to have a very short life, or you'll make money, but then it's like recruiting. You got to go find new clients again and again. Yeah. Devin, I've had coaching clients for 16, 17, my longest one, 18 years. And the reason, I know it's because I'm always looking for transformations to help them, not a transaction, because I know that that's how you create long-term relationships. So I just try to teach business folks that main foundational principle that we're going to build all this other stuff on. But if you don't have that focus, it's going to be a really tough, year-to-year business where you got to keep going and finding people.
Yeah, and I guess that a little personal question there too, because we have some of the same stories there. We have clients for 10 years now, and we love them. We have those close relationships. But then you get other clients that you're trying to coach, and they're not the best at following your path or your recommendations. What do you do in that situation? Is it something that hey, it's just not a right fit for us, and we'll move forward to find the right relationships that are going to listen to our ways and follow our path to success? So I just, personally, I struggle with that every once in a while, where it's just like they're not doing what we're saying, and then it kind of comes back on that they're not getting the results, right? So
sure.
What's the best practice when it comes to someone like that and a client? And again, it may just be that it's not the right fit.
You're correct. It could be not the right fit. But what we have found over the years that work best for us is when we better pre-screen them and make them qualify on the front end through questionnaire, like extensive questionnaires, right? And I'm very upfront with them. I said, look, I'm not your life coach, right? I'm not your therapist. There are other people who are better for that. I'm here to help you really blow your business up. Okay, so if that's not something that's in line for what you're looking for, I'm not your accountability coach. If you don't make a phone call, like you don't want to schedule a call, a consulting call, I'm fine with that. Doesn't bother me. We're not in kindergarten. I'm not going to chase you around. Some people need that, right? Accountability. I said, I'm very clear on who I'm not to them. Right. And I'm very clear on here's how I know I can help you. Okay. Now, the second thing is a lot of questions we have, qualify them so I can see behind the scenes, through the lines, read between the lines on whether they're coachable or not.
Gotcha.
And a lot of the questions are designed whether they actually do things or not. Okay. So, because I used to run into the same problem. I mean, we'd have all kind of people at our events signing up for our programs. And then it was so frustrating because I was like, why won't you do what I'm laying out for you? I just spent 4 hours on a one-on-one Zoom coaching you, laid out this whole plan. And 8 months later, you haven't gotten off your ass and done anything. 100%. What is wrong? Yeah. And so I used to subscribe to you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Right. And I just kind of swallowed that pill. You're responsible to people, which I still believe, but not for them.
Sure.
You're responsible, to give people what you promised, but you're not responsible for them actually using it and doing it. And I still subscribe to that.
Absolutely.
But it was still frustrating because like I could look at like these 5 people over here who went out in the first month, did X number of dollars, and these 5 who 5 months later haven't implemented anything. And I'm like, what the, it doesn't like, and I would rack my brain. Finally, I got crazy and said, like, I'm tired of going nuts. And I said, I got to figure out, because it's affecting me more than them. But what was funny is like these 5, they kept wanting to renew and renew and renew. And I'm like, but they're not doing it. And it was driving me nuts. So I was like, oh, I better screen them better on the front end, number 1. And number 2, be very upfront. Now I tell people, if you don't do what I tell you to do, I'm telling you, I will fire you. I'll refund you all your money and I'll fire you, and you'll never come back in, because we are not a place where you come to just like lollygag around. We're about jumping. We're not about like the slow climb up the ladder. We're about springboarding on the trampoline over the wall. And if that's not you, that's totally cool. I like you. I'll be cordial, but you're just not a right fit. So I don't know if that answered your question, but because it started with like, I would be frustrated.
It definitely hits on that too, and I've seen what you're talking about happen in real time, literally not that long ago, with our own onboarding process. Before I'm even talking to someone now, there is a lengthy survey, not too long, but something that really gives me that insight of what they're able to do. But you did bring a nugget there as far as those right questions to know if they're implementers or not. And I think that's something that should be in our surveys as people come on board, because it's just getting to know that these people are coachable. They're going to listen. They're not stuck in the old school ways. Sure, we're going to collaborate. We're going to learn about their business. We want them to bring ideas to the table, but it's got to be a good fit for us, because we see such success with the clients that listen, do what we say, let us have fun with the marketing, let us be, creative and do our thing, versus them starting to coach us. So I think part of that is that system of onboarding, the pre-qualifying, whether you're having someone call and ask the questions before talking to them or having a simple survey. So I think back to systems, creating that authority when you have those types of questions too, that also raises the authority there. And then, hey, I'll fire you if you're not a good fit, another authority play there too. Yeah. So I think those are great ways to really make sure that the clients that you're serving are the right fit for you. A couple more questions here, and then
can I give you like a little piggyback onto that real quickly? So I know this is going to sound strange for anybody listening or watching, but I literally try to discard as many people from working with me as possible.
Okay.
Through that extensive questionnaire and letting them know it's going to be tough. It's almost like I look at, I have a friend actually a client who was a former Navy SEAL. And he said the first thing they do in SEAL training is try to get rid of everybody. Right? Because you're not going to be right and cut out for this kind of mentality and this kind of focus and this kind of protecting our country. And whoever's left standing is the ones we want. So that's why they try to, like Hell Week, they try to literally break them.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, God, that's so smart for me as a business person. Why am I wanting to accept everybody? I need to repel most people by letting them know that this is going to be different than anything else. And like, I expect you to do what I tell you to do, etc. Because I know this works. I've got thousands of people that work for it. So the first thing is I'm trying to like repel as many people and only have those few show up, because I know they're going to be the right people. So that's the first thing. Second thing is I am literally making them feel like the black sheep of the family, if you will, on the front end by slamming them with testimonials of people. This is like the ninja technique that I figured out years ago. I started getting my clients who are really successful to record testimonials for me saying things like this. All I did was do exactly what James laid out, and it worked. And if you don't follow the plans that he lays out, you're literally stupid, and it's your fault. Like I have people like PLUs, people like us, people like them, telling them that if you don't do this and get off your ass and put it into action, it's your fault.
Yeah.
right? So literally abundance of proof of testimonials from my really great clients. And again, I like to say, like, they're very kind and they credit me for stuff, but they did it all,
Right.
right? I gave them the map and the keys to the car, but they're driving the car, right? But I want them to tell the people coming in that, hey, we did it, it worked, you need to do this, right? Follow the plan and it will work for you. So those are just two things I thought of that I really like: abundance of proof on the front end to do what I tell them to do, because these folks are telling them that. And then the second thing is, I'm telling you, I want to discard, get you out of my consideration, and only who's left standing gets to come in.
I love it. The Navy SEAL training. All right. Well,
Yeah.
we'll start beating the crap out of our prospects before they come on here to see if they drown or swim. But no, forget it for real. I mean, that does make sense. Our time is so valuable. Their time
Yeah.
is valuable. And happiness. I think, as I've gotten older, there's one quest is being happy with what I'm doing and enjoying what I'm doing. And when you're working with
Yeah.
people that don't get it, don't follow, it becomes stressful. So, we can talk for days on some of that stuff. I'd love to go a little more lighthearted here. You've worked with some amazing marketers, Brian Tracy. We talked about Dan Kennedy, of course, Jack Canfield. I saw you. I think you were Jason Alexander from Seinfeld. Um, Give me some of any memorable, humorous moments from these collaborations that you have that stand out.
Oh my gosh, man, so many. Let me pick a good
I'm
one.
throwing a curveball pitch at
Yeah, I wasn't expecting this. I was expecting a
you.
business question. Um, Gosh. Oh, well, let me tell you something that maybe surprised me.
Okay.
Okay. Jason Alexander.
Okay.
Love him. Great guy. We all know him as George Costanza from
Stands.
Seinfeld,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And he's nothing like that. Like, I really thought George Costanza, goofy goofball guy, was showing up.
Right.
Very serious guy. I mean, he's an actor. Like, if you remember him, he was in Pretty Woman with Richard Gere
Yep.
and Julia Roberts. He was very serious in that role. He wasn't the goofball type person, right? And so that blew my mind at how smart of a business person he is, right? Because he understands he's an actor and he has to play that role of the goofball in order to get the Seinfeld role. But
Right.
then he's got to be Stucky, the jerk of a lawyer, to be with Richard Gere and Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman. And
Right.
so so maybe not like a funny story, but the thing
Yeah.
that I was blown away by him with how smart I thought he was, because he was adapting certain ways to get certain jobs, which is something we can all learn from, right?
Absolutely.
Right? If you think about the buyer, the movie studios, the producers on the back end, there's different types for each role, and he's adapting to match that customer's needs.
Love it.
Right? And he's presenting himself as a problem solver for that buyer, right? That customer,
Yep.
right? I need to be a serious actor here. I need to be this goofball guy over here for Larry David and Jerry, right? Tony, I call him Tony because he says call me Tony, but Anthony Hopkins. I've had Anthony Hopkins at my events. One of the nicest men you will ever meet in your life. Kindness, really smart guy, but just a really cool, nice, gentle soul, which is completely different when you see him playing Hannibal Lecter eating people, right? In Silence of the Lambs, right? And so I love learning from people, like, when no media's around, and I like learning, like, wow, how do you get that role? How did you? So I'll tell you something. Anthony Hopkins taught me, blew my mind. I actually had him at my event on my stage to teach the audience. And I said, I asked him like the dumbest question I think I've ever asked. I said, Mr. Hopkins, you've been acting for 40 years.
Okay.
You know, Academy Award-winning actor. You're knighted, so you're Sir Anthony Hopkins.
Right.
Here's the dumb question, Devin. You don't still have like a coach, right? Like an acting coach. Look at me assuming that, right? Why would I ever do that to another human being? To my surprise, he said, oh no, James, I don't have a coach. I have 7 coaches. And Devin, I was literally speechless because I did not expect that answer to come from one of the top, rated one of the top 50 actors of all time.
Right.
Right? And I said, and I was dumbfounded, like literally like stumped right there in that conversation where I was like, what do you mean? And he said, well, I have a movement coach for movies because you move differently in movies than you do when you're doing theater. So I have a secondary coach, a movement coach for theaters. I have a vocal coach for movies because you speak differently when there's a boom mic right above you and you're standing on an X.
Okay.
Then I have a different vocal coach when I'm in a theater and I must project to people. He said, I have a nutritionalist that cooks my meals. I have a trainer that works me out because at my age, spend $200 million on a movie. If I get sick,
Sure.
I kill the movie and I put hundreds of people out of work because we could be doing 12, 14-hour days. And he walked through all these different coaches he had. And I was just like dumbfounded. Like I said, Mr. Rob, excuse me for a second. I said, you all catching this? This is Academy Award-winning actor Anthony Hopkins talking about 7 coaches. I know there are people sitting right here today in this audience where you won't invest $10 in a book to be better.
Exactly.
And then you bitch, whine, and moan about not being successful. He's got 7 coaches. Guy put his hand up, Devin, and said, well, excuse me, but he's Academy Award-winning actor Anthony Hopkins, therefore he can have 7 coaches. I said, no, my brother. You got it backwards. It's because he has 7 coaches that he is Academy Award-winning actor.
Love that.
That was a cool story because that happened literally in front of my whole audience of 500 some people.
How cool is that? You think you're asking a silly question and you get the answer and you're like, wow. And I think that's so true and something that we preach. It's about evolving. If you are sitting still and not doing things, if you're not learning, especially right now with everything going on, you better get your ass in school. I mean, whether you're getting a coach, whether you're sitting there in front of YouTube videos, you're working with AI, it is now time to learn this stuff because you will get left behind very quickly. So I think that's a huge part of just anyone's business journey and life journey is to ABL, always be learning, right?
Yeah. Well, Ben Franklin said it best, an investment in yourself always pays the best interest. Right. And I always just remember, even for myself, because we all need like to check our own selves at times, and I do too, right? We all, like you hit a level of success, I hit a level of success, and we think, oh man, I've arrived, I'm good, right? Nah. One of my favorite, I had a privilege about 20 some years ago to have lunch with legendary UCLA basketball coach John Wooden.
Okay.
Probably most successful coach in the history of sports. He used to coach UCLA basketball. He's a Wizard of Westwood. Every coach on the planet, from rugby to soccer, would fly in to meet with him just to like hear his strategies. Won more national championship. He's the guy that coached Kareem Abdul-Jabbar when he played at UCLA and Bill Walton. The great teams, right? Yeah. Well, here I am, this basketball guy, getting to have lunch with him at his place in Southern California, and I asked him a question. I said, Coach Woodman, I mean, we sat for like 5 hours, just him and I talking, which was a big thrill for me. Like this, being a basketball guy, but just he taught me more about life than basketball. But I asked him this question, and it's a question I always like to ask people. I asked Anthony Hopkins, Jason Alexander, Michael Jordan. I ask everybody the same question. If you can only give me one success tip, I know you got a lot of things, but if you can just tell me one thing that I could take away that I should follow the rest of my life, what would that be? And I framed it with Coach Wood, and I said, I know it's hard. You wrote the book on the pyramid of success. You have all your blocks, and it's hard to ask you for one, but could you give me just one without breaking stride, Devin? Here's what he said. He said, James, that's easy. It's what you learn after you think you know it all that counts. It's what you learn after you think you know it all that counts. So that time when I thought I arrived and I knew a lot, I was like, so what I learned after this point, like I better get back to the basics of hiring coaches, reading books, going to seminars, growing, turn the television off at night, grow, be better. So that was one of my favorite pivotal points in my life, is when I heard him tell me that line. It's what you learn after you think you know it all that counts.
I think that's a great one to pretty much end it on here, but I'll throw one more at you because staying motivated, doing what we do for so many years, is it true that I hear that you keep a top ramen noodle bag as a motivational tool? Is that something that I've heard? Is that accurate?
On my corkboard.
Okay, what's that all about?
Oh man, Wow, that you got me goosebumps, man.
I'm
You're the
digging deep,
first.
man, digging deep.
Buddy, I have done over 15,000 pieces of media, especially when I was on the Secret Millionaire
Yeah,
TV show. I
yeah,
had to do tons of interviews for them. Like that's part of your contract. No one's ever asked me about that ever. You're the first one ever. Yeah, seriously.
love
Like
it.
literally, I usually have to bring it up because it's so important to me. So thank you for asking
Yeah,
that.
man, no problem. I'm glad. We try to, dig in a little deep and try to find some fun things here to get a little, some unique, as the name of our company, dynamic, right? Dynamic marketing consultants. We
Yeah.
need to be dynamic with our questions. So, what's that
But
all about, James?
before I tell you, let me just tell you why that's so important, what you just did, because that's something that's deeply important to me. And I always tell folks, like, you want to like really connect with people, find something that's really important to them,
Sure.
right? It doesn't have to be this big thing they were featured on something, but there's something out there. And with the power of the internet today, you can always find something about someone, but find something that hits people like that in the heart, and you'll have a connection for life with people,
There we
right?
go.
So thank you for that. But here's
You're
the
very
top
welcome.
ramen
No, my
noodle.
pleasure. And I love hearing that. That's awesome.
Yeah. When I started out, man, I was so broke that I used to work in a video store at night making $7 an hour.
What's a
Okay.
video store?
I know that's I know most people listening who are like younger, a video store, right? There was a time
There was a
where we
time.
would go to a store and rent a VHS video or then a DVD video from a store. Not everything was streaming at one time for all you young folks listening. But I used to make $7 an hour, Montrose Video in Montrose, California,
Okay.
and I was so broke that I used to eat top ramen noodles and also pasta with ragu. I tell you, a tag along to that was that my mom one time asked me what I wanted for my birthday, and I said a Costco card. She said, "What?" It's like a $50 card to go to Costco membership
Sure.
because I didn't have $50 when I was starting out to go get a Costco membership to buy food in bulk. And I was too embarrassed to like explain to mom and dad, like, I had no money and I'm broke and I'm living in a $400 a month apartment in Los Angeles with bars on the window. And I would sleep with a softball bat every night in case somebody broke in. That's where I started out. Like, so I was too embarrassed to share all that because I didn't want them to say, "Hey, just come on home
Right.
to Menneson, Pennsylvania, and you got your own room here, right?" But so they got me a Costco card, and I used to go there and I used to buy in bulk top ramen noodles because they're extremely cheap, right, to make,
Yep.
and to buy and to eat. And then I would buy big bags of pasta and big jars of ragu spaghetti sauce. And I had that all stuffed under my bed and in my closets because I'd buy it in bulk, right? And for 3.5 years, Dev, I ate top ramen noodles and I would dilute the pasta sauce with water because it would last longer.
That's long.
And I'd have spaghetti. And I would eat that and top ramen noodles. Did it for 3.5 years for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So now, why do I have top ramen noodle back? Because when I don't want to make the call to that prospect, because now I'm at a certain stage of my career where I don't really have to work ever the rest of my life or do anything,
Right.
it reminds me, hey, dude, you could go back to eating top ramen noodles. Now, I know theoretically I'm not, but that's my trigger,
Okay.
right? Like, and so I want to see that because when I get lazy and I don't want to make the call, or I don't want to go to that event,
Yep.
right? Or I don't want to do this or that. I just look at that and I go, you could go back, kid. You're very blessed. You could go back. And that makes me make the call. That's my motivation. That's my trigger. So
Uh,
that's why the bag is on the cork board. I'll tell you a little funny thing too. I asked Michael Jordan that one time. I used to do an event with Michael in
yep.
Vegas for
Yeah.
4 years. And I asked him one time, I said, how are you just a killer? Like, how did you just dominate everybody every freaking night for years? Like against Utah, he had the flu. They had to carry him off the bus into the locker room. He's laying there thrown up. He runs out on the court, scores 30 some points. They have to carry him back in and carry him on the bus. How do you how? He said, because I got cut by my high school basketball coach. And he said, and I never felt how I never forgot the feeling of how embarrassing that was. And so when I go take that court, everybody I play against is my high school coach. and I'm never going to feel that way ever again. And I'm like, that's his trigger. My trigger is top ramen noodles. His is his high school coach. So that's why I have the bag. It's my trigger.
Yeah, I love that story, and I think that can resonate with a lot of people out there. And sometimes it does. It gets monotonous of just doing the same thing over and over again. So you got to keep it fresh. But having that motivator there, it just is great. So for anyone out there that has something that happened to them that really made them change the way that they looked at life and motivate them to move forward, those little subtle reminders. I mean, I'll have it on my little Google pictures here. I have my old school, instead of having all the crap in a closet, I got pictures of all these things, and it's just constant reminders of where we came from. You know, the little flyer I made back in college, the little things that we were doing, and now where we're at. So it's very hard when you're in the moment to reflect and be like, wow, we were here. Now we're here. This is what we worked our asses off for, and we've done it. And now we still got more to do. So this has just been one of the best nuggets that we've ever had. Been doing this for about 5 years now. So the insights that you have are definitely invaluable. For listeners out there that are eager to dive deeper into some of what you're teaching here, where can they find out more about you and connect with you, James?
Oh, thanks, buddy. And I thank you for that nice compliment. I appreciate it. But it's very simple. It's just the website is www.bigmoneyspeaker.com, bigmoneyspeaker.com. Or like you and I reconnected, brother, you can just reach me through social media, through LinkedIn, Facebook, or Instagram. You can DM me. I'm very active on there. And like you, rekindled a lot of cool relationships with people from the past because of DMs. Thank goodness for Zuckerberg and whoever created LinkedIn.
Who did create LinkedIn? We don't know that
I don't
one.
know. I don't know. That's true. I'm trying to rack my brain for a name with Zuckerberg, but I couldn't remember.
That I don't know. But cool. No, I think it is so true. And it's, we just typically are looking through the feeds and doing those things. So go out of your comfort zone, reach out to old friends, reach out to old colleagues, people you work with. You never know what's going to happen. You can end up on the Nugget. And I can end up having James, the big money speaker, right here, having a great conversation. This has been excellent. I really look forward to keeping in touch with you. I'm going to continue to follow everything that you've got going on. Awesome nuggets today. And again, so for those out there, make sure you're following James. He's always got great content on there and exciting stuff to watch and see all the people he's rubbing shoulders with. It's been awesome. So thanks again for being here, James.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you, buddy. Again, truly, thanks for giving me some time. And hopefully we filled this hour with something that will help someone listening or watching.
There's tons here. So very, very grateful for that. So that's a wrap of the DMC Marketing Nugget for today. A big thank you to James Malinchak for sharing his wisdom. Remember, great branding is not a luxury, it's a strategy. So be sure to like, follow, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and watch all of our past episodes at dmcmarketingnugget.com. Here's to your success.